Ambassador Emma Taylor's quantum tablet buzzed against her hip as she strode through the curved corridors of the United Earth Embassy. The building's smart glass windows automatically adjusted their tint against the fierce red glare of Proxima Centauri, casting rippling shadows across the polished floors. She'd been in the middle of her morning coffee ritual. Real Earth-grown beans were her one expensive indulgence out here, when the emergency alert had cut through the embassy's standard communications chatter. The message originated from an old frequency, one that hadn't been used since the Mars Rebellion 15 years ago. Back then, she'd been a junior diplomat, watching in awe as Ambassador Henderson turned a potential bloodbath into the now famous pizza gambit. Who would have thought that sending 30,000 pizzas to hungry revolutionaries would lead to peace talks? Now she was the one making those calls. Emma's neural implant chimed as she approached the embassy's secure communications hub. The door's biometric scanner swept over her with a soft blue light, recognizing both her physical presence and the unique signature of her diplomatic credentials. "Ambassador, we've confirmed the source," Lieutenant Sarah Morgan announced as Emma entered. The young communications officer's fingers danced across holographic displays, pulling data streams into focus. "It's from the Malorian colony on Kepler 186. Emma felt her pulse quicken. The Malorians were one of humanity's first alien contacts, a species of bioluminescent beings whose emotional states manifested as shifting patterns of light beneath their translucent skin. They were peaceful, advanced in biological sciences, and most importantly, trusted humanity enough to reach out in what was clearly a moment of crisis. "Show me," Emma ordered, stepping onto the hub's central platform. The room darkened as a three-dimensional hologram materialized around her. The message wasn't just audio or text, it was a full sensory transmission, the kind Malorians used for their most urgent communications. The figure that appeared before her was First Speaker Luminara, the Malorian colony's leader. Her skin pulsed with rapid waves of deep blue. Fear shot through with amber streaks of determination. The patterns were so distressed that Emma had to adjust the hologram's brightness. "Ambassador Taylor," Luminara's melodic voice wavered. "We invoke the emergency consultation protocol under Section 7 of our Friendship Treaty. The Krax Imperium has issued demands for our immediate surrender and integration into their empire. Their fleet," her skin flickered dark purple, "their fleet will arrive in 14 standard days." Emma's mind raced through the implications. The Krax Imperium had been expanding aggressively for the past decade, absorbing smaller species into their protection program, a euphemism for what amounted to cultural and economic slavery. They claimed to bring order and advancement to lesser species, but their real interest was always resources and technology. "Why contact Earth?" Emma asked, though she suspected the answer. "The Galactic Council would debate for months while our world burns," Luminara interrupted, her skin now showing spots of fierce red determination. "Humans understand what it means to protect friends. We have watched how you handle conflicts, not just with force, but with unexpected solutions. The Mars Rebellion, the Epsilon trade crisis, the Neptune Accords. You find ways to win without destroying." The transmission stuttered as Luminara's glow intensified. "We have something the Krax want, Ambassador. Something we've kept secret from most of the galaxy. Our medical researchers have achieved a breakthrough in cellular regeneration. If the Krax learn the full extent of our discovery." Her voice trailed off as her skin shifted to the deep green of resolve. "We trust Earth to understand both the danger and the opportunity this presents." Emma straightened her diplomatic jacket, a plan already forming. "Send a response on the same frequency," she instructed Lieutenant Morgan. "Tell First Speaker Luminara that Earth accepts the consultation request. Then get me Colonel Jake Morrison and Dr. Alex Rivers. Wake them up if you have to." As the hologram faded, Emma allowed herself a small smile. The Krax Imperium expected to find a helpless colony of peaceful researchers. Instead, they were about to learn why so many species had come to value humanity's friendship and fear their capacity for creative problem-solving. "Lieutenant," Emma added, reaching for her abandoned coffee. "Send a message to Earth Central. Tell them Operation Butterfly Effect is now in play." The embassy's war room hummed with nervous energy as holographic displays cast ethereal blue light across concerned faces. Colonel Jake Morrison arrived first, his cybernetic eye whirring as it adjusted to the dim lighting. The implant was a souvenir from the Neptune campaign, where he'd learned firsthand that humanity's best victories often came from outthinking rather than outgunning their opponents. Dr. Alex Rivers stumbled in moments later, still wearing the iridescent Malorian sleep robe from his year of cultural immersion. His tablet projected a cascade of research notes that swirled around him like autumn leaves. "Please tell me we're not about to throw away 3 years of xenobiological research," he muttered, dropping into a chair. Emma stood at the central holotable, manipulating data streams with practiced gestures. "What I'm about to share is classified level Omega," she announced, her voice activating the room's quantum encryption field. The air seemed to thicken as the security measures engage. The Malorians have achieved something unprecedented in cellular regeneration. The holotable erupted with medical data. Complex molecular structures rotated in the air, accompanied by scrolling test results and research notes. Dr. Rivers leaned forward, his exhaustion forgotten. "This is impossible," he whispered, reaching out to touch a floating DNA strand. "They've solved recursive degradation. That's decades ahead of any known research." "Including the cracks," Jake added, his cybernetic eye scanning rapidly through the data. "No wonder they're moving a fleet. This isn't just a land grab. It's a technology grab." Emma nodded, expanding a tactical display of the Malorian colony system. 14 days until the Cracks fleet arrives. Standard playbook would be to position our own ships as a deterrent. But the nearest Earth battle group is 20 days out," Jake finished, his organic eye narrowing. "Even at emergency FTL speeds, we'd arrive 6 days too late." Dr. Rivers looked up from his analysis. "The Malorians won't fight. Their entire culture is built around healing and preservation of life. They'd surrender before risking a single casualty." Emma smiled, the same smile that had preceded the Pizza Gambit's success. "Then we'll have to give the Cracks something they want more than a conquered colony." She waved her hand, and the holographic display shifted to show trade routes crisscrossing the sector. "Alex, in your time with the Malorians, what did you learn about their information-sharing protocols?" "They're surprisingly open, except for breakthrough discoveries. Those are protected by..." His eyes widened. "You're not thinking of..." "A controlled leak," Emma confirmed. "Not the regeneration breakthrough, but enough of their basic medical research to make the sector take notice." She turned to Jake. "And I'll need your help to position some assets. Nothing military. That would spook the Cracks. I'm thinking medical ships, research vessels, the kind of civilian traffic that carries more than just bandages." Jake's cybernetic eye glowed brighter as he processed the implications. "The benevolent butterfly," he said, nodding slowly. "Like that training scenario at the academy. Instead of showing force, we show opportunity." "Exactly." Emma's fingers danced through the holographic data, reorganizing it into action items. "The Cracks expect either military resistance or diplomatic surrender. We're going to give them economic entanglement instead." Dr. Rivers was already composing research abstracts on his tablet. "I can have preliminary papers ready for distribution within hours. Nothing classified, but enough to demonstrate the Malorians' value to the medical community." "Good." Emma straightened, her diplomatic training asserting itself. "Because in 10 hours, I'm going to contact every major trading house in the sector. By the time the Cracks fleet arrives, they won't be facing the simple colony. They'll be facing the most important medical research hub in this arm of the galaxy." The holotable pulsed with new data as her plan took shape. Supply routes, research partnerships, trade agreements. The pieces of a diplomatic puzzle that would transform a potential war zone into an economic powerhouse. "And if the Cracks still choose violence?" Jake asked, his military training demanding contingencies. Emma's expression hardened. Then they'll learn why Earth's friendship is valued across the galaxy. Lieutenant Morgan. She called out to the communication station. Get me the Galactic Trade Commission. It's time to teach the Cracks Imperium about the true cost of threatening our allies. Information warfare began at dawn. Emma watched from her office as Dr. Rivers' carefully curated medical research papers hit the galactic networks. Not through official channels, that would be too obvious, but through a cascade of academic forums, medical journals, and corporate research boards. Like seeds scattered in the wind, each publication carried a fragment of the Malorians' medical expertise. The Cracks intelligence services are scrambling, Lieutenant Morgan reported, monitoring the data streams. Her screen showed an explosion of activity across encrypted channels. They've diverted 3 analysis teams from fleet operations to process the sudden surge in Malorian research data. Emma nodded, sipping her morning coffee. And our trading partners. The Centauri Medical Consortium was first to bite. They're requesting immediate consultation rights. The Rigel Pharmaceutical Alliance followed 20 minutes later. Morgan's fingers flew across her haptic interface. We've got 13 major medical corporations asking for meetings, and the number's growing. Through the smart glass windows, Emma could see Colonel Morrison supervising the arrival of humanitarian aid vessels. Each ship bore the markings of a different medical or research institution, their holds carefully packed with equipment that could serve both civilian and defensive purposes. The Cracks would detect the ships, of course. But what could they object to about medical supplies? Dr. Rivers is ready for his broadcast, Morgan announced. Emma straightened her uniform, put him through to the galaxy-wide medical emergency channel. The main screen lit up with Alex's face. He sat in what appeared to be a simple research lab, surrounded by Malorian medical equipment. The performance had been carefully choreographed, just professional enough to be credible, just rough enough to seem urgent and authentic. To all medical professionals and healing institutions, Alex began, his voice carrying the weight of academic authority. I'm Dr. Alex Rivers, Earth Diplomatic Corps' Xenobiological Division. I'm broadcasting to share crucial medical protocols recently developed by our Malorian colleagues. What followed was a masterpiece of scientific communication. Alex presented revolutionary but incomplete treatments for 3 of the galaxy's most common ailments. Each cure was groundbreaking enough to draw attention, but deliberately missing key components that only the Malorians could provide. The message was clear. This colony wasn't just a territory to be conquered. It was a source of vital medical knowledge. The Cracks fleet has adjusted course, Jake reported from the military command center. They're running active scans on all incoming medical vessels. No hostile actions yet, but they're paying very close attention. Emma smiled. Time for Phase 2. Lieutenant Morgan, please transmit my credentials to the Galactic Trade Commission's emergency session. The holofield sparkled to life, placing Emma virtually among the most powerful trading entities in the sector. Representatives from a dozen species turned to face her, their attention caught by the unexpected human presence. Honored members of the Commission, Emma began, her diplomatic training evident in every measured word. Earth wishes to propose the establishment of an interstellar medical research zone centered on the Malorian colony world. We've already secured commitments from major medical institutions across 3 sectors, with combined investment pledges exceeding 50 billion credits. The chamber erupted in overlapping conversations. Emma caught fragments of hurried discussions about market shares and research rights. Perfect. The Cracks Trade Council is requesting immediate participation, Morgan whispered through Emma's neural link. Their medical caste is practically demanding it. Emma kept her expression neutral, but inwardly she felt a surge of satisfaction. The Cracks military might be committed to their invasion, but their civilian sectors were already seeing the potential profits. No empire could sustain itself when its merchants and scientists opposed military action. Additionally, Emma continued, scanning the virtual chamber, Earth is prepared to contribute our advanced quantum computing facilities to support this collaborative research effort. The potential benefits to all our species are immeasurable. As she spoke, more ships appeared in the colony's space lanes, research vessels, medical transports, corporate scouts, all drawn by the promise of breakthrough medical technologies. The Krax fleet would arrive to find not a vulnerable colony, but a bustling hub of interstellar commerce and scientific cooperation. Check, Emma murmured to herself, watching the pieces fall into place. Your move, Imperium. 9 days until the Krax fleet's arrival, and the Malorian colony had transformed. Space traffic controllers struggled to manage the surge of incoming vessels, their navigation beacons creating a glittering web around the planet. Corporate research ships jockeyed for position alongside medical transports, while delegation shuttles darted between newly established orbital facilities. Emma stood in the embassy's observation dome, watching a massive Centauri hospital ship ease into orbit. Dr. Rivers approached, his tablet displaying a cascade of market analytics. The medical technology sector is going crazy, he reported, excitement bleeding through his professional demeanor. 17 major corporations have announced research partnerships with the Malorians. Stock values are skyrocketing. Even the Krax Medical Cast's private firms are trying to get in on the action. Show me the latest treatment statistics, Emma requested, her eyes never leaving the orbital traffic. Alex pulled up a holographic chart. The Malorians' basic healing protocols have been implemented in 300 major medical facilities across the sector. Success rates are unprecedented. The viral videos of first treatments are everywhere. The one from the Children's Hospital on New Prague has over 2 billion views. Lieutenant Morgan's voice came through Emma's neural link. Ambassador, you need to see this. The Krax fleet's support vessels are breaking formation. Emma turned to the tactical display. Sure enough, several Krax ships had deviated from their battle group. Medical frigates, research vessels, and civilian transports were decelerating, their trajectories suggesting they intended to join the growing community around the Malorian colony. Interesting, Emma murmured. Their military command must be furious. Speaking of fury, Jake's voice cut in. We've got an incoming transmission from High Commander Nexus of the Krax fleet. He's demanding to speak with you personally. Emma smoothed her diplomatic jacket. Put him through to my private office. Alex, start the next phase. Jake, make sure our humanitarian ships are in position. The High Commander's hologram towered in Emma's office, his ceremonial armor gleaming with threat displays. Ambassador Taylor, he rumbled, mandibles clicking in barely contained rage. Your interference in Krax military operations will not be tolerated. Emma raised an eyebrow. Military operations? I was under the impression this was a peaceful integration mission to welcome the Malorians into your empire's protection. That's what your diplomatic corps announced. Do not play games, Nexus snarled. You've turned a simple annexation into a circus. Our own supply ships are breaking ranks to join your medical collaboration. Surely that's good news. Emma kept her tone light. Your people gaining early access to revolutionary medical treatments. The Krax medical caste must be pleased. A warning light flashed on Emma's desktop. The Krax commander had activated weapon systems on his dreadnought. The move violated 3 different peace treaties, but Emma knew he was counting on human caution to prevent an incident. The Imperium will not be manipulated by human tricks, Nexus declared. We're accelerating our arrival. You have 48 hours to clear all non-Krax vessels from the system. Emma allowed herself a small smile. Interesting timing, Commander. Our latest medical trial results are due to be published in exactly 47 hours. The ones involving cellular regeneration for neural implant rejection. I understand that's a significant issue among your warrior caste. The commander's threat displays flickered. Neural rejection was the leading cause of death among Krax combat veterans, forcing them to choose between enhanced fighting capabilities and longevity. Your attempt to divide our people will fail, Nexus insisted, but Emma caught the slight waver in his voice. Division. No, Commander. Unity through healing. That's the Malorian way. And now, thanks to your own medical cast's participation in our research coalition, it's becoming the Cracks way too. Emma gestured to her data screens. Your military may be 48 hours away, but your scientists are already here, working alongside humans and Nalorians to solve problems that affect all our species. She leaned forward. So, Commander Nexus, I have a question. When you arrive, will you be shooting at your own people's future? The next 48 hours transformed the Malorian colony into a powder keg. Research ships crowded the orbital lanes, their crews working frantically to process the latest medical breakthroughs before the Cracks fleet's arrival. On the surface, construction crews raced to complete the new International Medical Research Center, its crystalline spires rising like hope made solid. Emma hadn't slept. She stood in the embassy's strategic command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing fleet movements, market reports, and medical research updates. Her coffee had gone cold, forgotten as she tracked the approaching Cracks warships. Their formation is fracturing further, Jake reported, his cybernetic eye processing tactical data. 3 more medical ships have broken ranks. The High Commander's threats aren't working anymore. Dr. Rivers burst into the room, his usual academic calm shattered by excitement. The neural regeneration trials, they worked. The Cracks medical cast is demanding immediate implementation for their veteran program. Emma allowed herself a thin smile. Right on schedule. Lieutenant Morgan, broadcast these results on all frequencies. Make sure every ship in the Cracks fleet receives a copy. The command center's main screen lit up with multiple incoming transmissions. The Cracks fleet's digital channels were erupting with internal communications, their encryption barely hiding the chaos within their ranks. High Commander Nexus is hailing us again, Morgan announced. And we're receiving separate transmissions from the Cracks Medical Council and their Trade Federation. Put them all through simultaneously, Emma ordered. Let them see each other. 3 holograms materialized in the command center. High Commander Nexus's image bristled with weapon systems alerts. Beside him, Medical Council Leader Vale's robes rippled with status indicators showing her elevated authority. The Trade Federation's representative, Director Krall, appeared with a cloud of market data surrounding his projection. This ends now, Nexus began, but Vale cut him off. The Medical Council invokes Article 7 of the Imperial Charter, she declared. This colony has been designated a critical medical research facility. Any military action against it violates our highest laws. The Trade Federation supports this designation, Krall added quickly. We've already invested 30 billion credits in research partnerships. An attack would devastate our economy. Nexus's hologram seemed to swell with rage. You overstep your authority. The military arm is bound by the same laws as the rest of us, Vale interrupted. Or shall we discuss how many of your own soldiers need the treatments being developed here? Emma stepped forward, her diplomatic training masking her exhaustion. Perhaps we could find a solution that benefits everyone. The Cracks Empire's organizational expertise would be invaluable in managing this growing medical research hub. A trap, Nexus snarled. You want to entangle us in your web of treaties and trade deals. No, Commander, Emma replied softly. We want to help you save your veterans, your scientists, your people. The Malorians have already agreed to prioritize treatment for Cracks neural rejection cases. The holographic projections flickered as new data flooded in. The first results from the Cracks medical ship's trials were posting, success rates that made even Nexus's threat displays dim momentarily. My fleet will arrive in 6 hours, he stated, but his voice had lost its certainty. In 6 hours, Emma countered, you'll either be remembered as the commander who secured the Cracks Empire's medical future or the one who destroyed it. The choice is yours. The command center fell silent as Nexus processed this. Military triumph meant destroying the very research that could save his own soldiers. Victory would become defeat the moment his troops learned what they'd lost. The Cracks people are watching, Commander, Vale pressed. Every medical ship that broke formation has been broadcasting their findings. They know what's at stake, Emma watched the commander's internal struggle play across his holographic features. Sometimes the greatest victories came not from forcing an enemy to surrender, but from helping them find a better path forward. "Your move, Commander," she said quietly. "But remember, you're not just choosing for yourself anymore." The newly completed International Medical Research Center gleamed under Kepler 186's red sun. Its crystal and platinum architecture incorporated design elements from a dozen species, including the distinctive angular aesthetics of the Krax Empire. Emma had insisted on that detail. Every visible element of the facility needed to suggest collaboration rather than conquest. High Commander Nexus's shuttle descended through the atmosphere, flanked by medical ships from his own fleet. The arrangement hadn't been his choice, but with half his support vessels already docked at the colony, traditional military protocols had become meaningless. The broadcast is live across all major networks. Lieutenant Morgan reported from her station in the embassy's mobile command center. Viewing statistics are unprecedented. Even the Krax military channels are carrying the feed. Emma straightened her diplomatic uniform, checking her reflection in a nearby monitor. This performance needed to be perfect. "Dr. Rivers, are our guests in position?" "The Malorian Medical Council is ready," Alex confirmed. "And our surprise participants are eager to make their appearance." The shuttle landed with precision on the center's main platform. High Commander Nexus emerged, his ceremonial armor unable to hide the tension in his movements. Medical Council Leader Vale and Trade Director Kral flanked him, their presence ensuring he couldn't simply order an attack without confronting the consequences. "Welcome to the International Medical Research Center," Emma greeted them, her voice carrying across the platform. "And to billions of viewers, today marks a historic moment in interspecies cooperation." "Spare us the diplomatic theater," Nexus growled, but Vale shot him a warning glance. Emma smiled. "Of course, you prefer direct action. Then let me be direct." She gestured, and the platform's holographic systems activated. Above them, a massive display showed medical data from across the sector. In the past 48 hours, Krax medical ships have successfully treated 317 cases of neural rejection. Cases your own doctors had declared terminal. Nexus's mandibles clicked in agitation. Temporary successes engineered to save lives, Emma interrupted. She nodded to Dr. Rivers, who activated the next phase of their presentation. The holographic display shifted, showing a group of Krax veterans receiving treatment. Their expressions of relief and gratitude were broadcast across the galaxy. "Commander," one of the veterans spoke directly to Nexus, his image towering above the platform. "The pain. It's gone. For the first time in 10 cycles, I can think clearly. The humans and Malorians, they didn't just heal our bodies. They preserved our honor as warriors." More testimonials followed. Krax soldiers, scientists, and civilians, all bearing witness to the transformative power of the medical collaboration. Emma watched Nexus's defensive posture slowly crack under the weight of evidence. "Your empire prides itself on strength," Emma continued. "But true strength isn't just about military might. It's about adaptation, evolution, the ability to recognize a better path forward." She gestured to the research center. "We're not asking the Krax to surrender or retreat. We're inviting you to lead. Your organizational skills, your disciplined approach to logistics, these are exactly what this medical initiative needs. Transform your invasion fleet into a medical support armada. Let your warriors become protectors of healing rather than harbingers of destruction." Vale stepped forward. "The Medical Council has already prepared integration protocols. We can begin implementing them immediately. The economic benefits would be substantial," Kral added, projecting market forecasts. "Our analysts predict a 40% increase in Imperial GDP within 2 cycles." Nexus stood silent, his armor's threat displays cycling through conflicting patterns. Above them, the faces of his healed veterans waited for his response. The galaxy watched as a warrior culture's definition of victory hung in the balance. "There is no dishonor," Emma said softly, "in choosing to save your people." The commander's shoulders straightened. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of history. "The Krax Empire," he paused, mandibles clicking thoughtfully, "accepts this collaboration, not as conquest, but as evolution." Emma's diplomatic mask held firm, but inside, she felt the tension of the past weeks finally begin to ease. This was how humanity won its greatest victories, not through force of arms, but by showing others a better way to be strong. The transformation of the Krax fleet was a sight that would be remembered for generations. Warships, their weapon ports sealed with medical emblems, now docked alongside research vessels. Combat crews retrained as medical support teams, their military precision finding new purpose in saving lives rather than taking them. Emma watched from the observation deck as former invasion ships were retrofitted with medical facilities. Dr. Rivers stood beside her, reviewing the latest data on his tablet. "The Krax engineering teams are incredible," he admitted. "They've improved our emergency response protocols by 300%. Turns out military logistics translate perfectly to medical crisis management." "High Commander Nexus report just came in," Lieutenant Morgan announced, joining them at the window. "The first wave of converted medical ships has already reached the outer colonies. They're calling it the Relief Fleet." Emma smiled at the name. A week ago, those same ships had been intended to bring conquest. Now they carried healing to the farthest reaches of space. The Krax Empire's fearsome reputation was being rewritten, one saved life at a time. "Ambassador Taylor," a deep voice called. Emma turned to find Commander Nexus approaching, his ceremonial armor now bearing the symbols of both military command and medical service. The modification would have been unthinkable in the old Krax Empire. "Commander," she greeted him. "Or should I say Medical Fleet Coordinator?" "Both titles serve their purpose," he replied, mandibles clicking in what she'd learned was amusement. "The Medical Council has approved our proposal for a joint defense and healing initiative. We'll be protecting medical research facilities across 3 sectors." Dr. Rivers looked up from his tablet. "The Malorians are thrilled. They've already started adapting their regeneration protocols to work with Krax biotechnology. The results are extraordinary." The main display screen activated, showing scenes from across the sector. Krax warriors who had once led invasion fleets now coordinated humanitarian missions. Medical ships bearing both Krax and Earth emblems delivered supplies to distant colonies. At the International Medical Research Center, Krax scientists worked alongside humans and Malorians, their combined knowledge accelerating breakthroughs in healing technology. "There's more," Morgan added, pulling up a series of reports. "The Krax Trade Federation is recording unprecedented growth. Apparently, helping people is more profitable than conquering them. A lesson some of us learned later than others," Nexus acknowledged. His threat displays, once used to intimidate, now showed medical emergency alerts and coordination data. "Though I must admit, Ambassador, your strategy was impressive. You defeated our invasion without firing a shot." Emma shook her head. "Not defeat, Commander. Evolution. You said it yourself. The Krax Empire hasn't become weaker. You've become stronger in ways that matter more." The observation deck's screens filled with incoming transmission requests. Other species, seeing the Krax transformation, were seeking to join the Medical Alliance. The Empire's former adversaries now saw them as protectors. Their military might repurpose to defend healing rather than impose conquest. "The Medical Council is receiving applications from young warriors," Nexus reported, his voice carrying a note of pride. "They want to train as both soldiers and healers. This wasn't possible in the old Empire, because the old Empire never saw the strength in healing," Emma replied. She gestured to the busy space lanes around them. "Look at your fleet now, Commander. Still disciplined, still powerful, but serving life instead of death. Tell me, isn't this a greater victory than conquest?" Nexus watched as another of his converted warships departed, its holds filled with medical supplies instead of weapons. "The humans have an old saying," he said thoughtfully. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. But you showed us something different. Oh, Emma raised an eyebrow. Yes, you showed us that sometimes the friend of my friend shows me how to stop making enemies altogether. 3 months after the Cracks fleet's historic transformation, the International Medical Research Center had become the heart of a new interstellar age. The crystalline spires now stretched higher into Kepler 186's rose-colored sky, their surfaces reflecting the light of incoming and departing medical ships from across the galaxy. Emma stood in her favorite spot in the observation dome, watching a Cracks hospital ship dock alongside a Malorian research vessel. The two crews exchanged not threats or demands, but medical data and healing techniques. Below them, the colony bustled with activity as medical professionals from 100 worlds collaborated on new treatments. The latest numbers are in, Dr. Rivers announced, entering the dome with his ever-present tablet. The Cracks relief fleet has reached over 2,000 colonies in the past month alone. Their military precision combined with Malorian healing techniques has reduced emergency response times by 80%. And the economic impact? Emma asked, though she already knew the answer. Beyond our highest projections, Lieutenant Morgan joined them, bringing up holographic charts that filled the dome with flowing data. The Cracks Empire's GDP has doubled. More importantly, their social metrics are transforming. Military enrollment is still high, but 90% of new recruits are choosing the medical service branches. The dome's door slid open again, admitting High Commander, now High Coordinator, Nexus. His armor, once purely militant, now integrated medical systems that could diagnose and treat injuries on the battlefield. The change reflected his own evolution from conqueror to protector. Ambassador Taylor, he greeted her, mandibles clicking in what she now recognized as respect. The Medical Council has approved the expansion of the Joint Defense and Healing Initiative. We're establishing 5 new medical research hubs across the sector, staffed by Cracks, human and Malorian teams, Emma asked. And others, Nexus confirmed. The Centauri Confederation and Rigel Alliance have pledged support. Even species that once feared the Empire now seek our protection, not from military threats, but from disease and injury. Through the dome's transparent panels, they could see First Speaker Luminara approaching in her hover platform. The Malorian leader's skin pulsed with patterns of deep satisfaction, blue-green waves that spoke of pride and contentment. Your people have surprised us all, Luminara said as she joined them. When we first detected the Cracks fleet, we feared the worst. Instead, you helped create something unprecedented, an empire that measures its strength in lives saved rather than worlds conquered. Emma smiled. Sometimes the best way to defeat an enemy is to show them they don't need to be an enemy at all. A lesson we'll be teaching at the Imperial Military Academy, Nexus added, along with the medical training that is now mandatory for all command officers. The dome's screens lit up with incoming transmissions, status reports from medical missions across space, research breakthroughs from the joint laboratories, economic data showing the growing prosperity of all participating worlds. What had begun as a desperate diplomatic gambit had evolved into a new model for interstellar cooperation. There's something we haven't discussed, Luminara said, her skin shifting to thoughtful purple hues. Our original breakthrough in cellular regeneration, the one that attracted the Cracks fleet in the first place. We're ready to share it fully, not just with the Cracks, but with all species in the Medical Alliance. Emma watched as Nexus processed this information. 3 months ago, such a secret would have been extracted by force. Now, it was being offered freely to an empire that had learned to earn trust rather than demand submission. Together then, Nexus said, extending his hand in the human gesture he had learned, for the good of all species. As Emma watched them, the once ruthless commander, the peaceful Malorian leader, and her own team that had helped bridge their differences, she understood that this was humanity's true strength, not in weapons or technology, but in showing others that cooperation could be more powerful than conflict. I think, she said softly, this is what victory really looks like. Above them, Ships of former enemies continued their healing dance through space, their combined efforts writing a new chapter in galactic history. It was a symphony of species, conducted by human insight, powered by Malorian wisdom, and protected by Crack's strength, proof that the greatest achievements come not from standing alone, but from standing together.